everybody. My name is Marlin Anderson. I'm the president of the Sunset Park Area Homeowners Association and the organizer of the South Tampa Candidate Forum that you're attending. This is the fourth South Tampa Candidate Forum, and this time we have 17 neighborhood associations and organizations that represent over 44,000 South Tampa residents. And so the purpose of this event is to educate the voters so that they know these various individuals better and they can make an educated decision when election time comes along. And I'd like to thank the candidates all for throwing their hat in the ring, and they all showed up, which is great, all 12 of them. And I'd also like to thank Jeff Patterson here at News Channel 8. He's going to be our moderator tonight. And thanks to all of you for joining us this evening. And I didn't know if any other officials were here in the audience. I saw John Dingfelder here. There's John in the back. Hey, John. He's a former city councilman. So observe the festivities. If there's any others that I didn't notice, please let me know. Rudy Fernandez. Okay. Thank you. All right, and so what I'd like to do next is this candidate forum. The way we did this is we got these 17 organizations involved, because there's no way we'd have got any kind of turnout like this otherwise. So the various neighborhood presidents that, or representatives of their organizations that were involved with this, I'd like to acknowledge all of them now. And the first one, I'm just going to do this in alphabetical order of the different associations. So if you could just raise your hand, and when I stand up or whatever. Jerry Miller of Ballast Point. Very good. Anthony Garcia of Bayshore Beautiful. Vicky Pollier of Bayshore Gardens. Ron Martin of the Bayshore Condominium Council. I think Jerry's at a meeting, a fan meeting tonight, but I'm going to at least mention Jerry Frankhauser of Bayside West. He's also the president of FAN. Okay. Steve Elting from Bel Mar Shores. Tom Vento from Port Tampa. Jay Lenny from Culbreath Heights, he's in the back. Al Steenson from Gandy, Sunbay South. Elena Sanchez-Coates from the GFWC Tampa Women's Club. Please take pictures tonight. She couldn't make it tonight, but Debbie Brock of Golfview, Civic Association. Katie Edmiston of Palma Ceia. Sandra Gigino from Palma Ceia Pines. Barry Oakes from Parkland Estates. Tom Kester from Swan Estates. And he is out of town actually at the moment, but Spencer Cass, last but not least, of Virginia Park. And I'd like to, before we get onto the actual forum, I'd like to acknowledge the volunteers, because I didn't do this all by myself, and I got a whole team of people that are helping. I have Vicky Pollier, we have the selection committee that's going to be receiving these index cards and sorting through them and passing them on to Jeff. So we're going to have 10 questions from the audience that we're going to pose to the candidates. And that's consisted of Vicky Pollier of Bayshore Gardens and Jerry Miller of Ballast Point. All right, and then Elena Sanchez goes to the GFWC Tampa Women's Club, photography and publicity. Where did Elena go? Oh, there she is. Okay. And Jay Lenny of Culbreath Heights in the back, he's doing video, so we can put this on YouTube. Michael Lundberg of Sunset Park, he got the food and spring water that you guys hopefully got a chance to experience. Okay. And he's also performing a Sergeant at Arms type of function. Beth Schatzberg of Culbreath Bayou is the timekeeper. She's been at, this is her fourth one. She's been there every time. Thanks, Beth. And coming back to Vicki again, Vicki got us the decorations. We had the red, white, and blue tablecloths, and that's thanks to Vicki and her husband. So thank you. Sandra Alexander of the GFWC Tampa Women's Club is one of the ushers over there. Kathy Geary, also of the GFWC Tampa Women's Club, is another usher tonight, picking up the cards. And Mike Rothenberg of Sunset Park is helping out as well with this with the usher duty. Okay, we're getting near the end of this. Financial contributors, I'd like to acknowledge Spencer Cass. He contributed enough to this event so they paid for all the food and also the signage that we put around town to announce the event. So that was a big contribution from Vicki Collier for financial contribution for the decorations. And baked goods, if any of you had a chance to sample any of the baked goods, that was the GFWC Tampa Women's Club had a whole assortment back there. I hope somebody had a chance to try that. Okay, and lastly, and not least, I would like to give a special thanks to St. Mary's Episcopal Church, which graciously let us use this hall, which actually has seating for 400, and I can't tell for sure, but we've got at least 120 people here tonight, and maybe 150. And so that was St. Mary's. Let's give a big hand to St. Mary's. Okay, so then I'd like to go ahead and introduce the moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, our moderator tonight is Mr. Jeff Patterson of News Channel 8. Thank you, Jeff.
I really appreciate the invitation. I really enjoy doing this because I honestly believe, and I've said this here before, that this is one of the most important things that we do in our process. You get a chance to know the candidates, to hear what they have to say, and make an informed decision. I think, I wish more people would do that, and then they would have, I find that the smallest number of people show up for these events and the largest number of people complain about things afterwards, and maybe it should be the opposite way around, because if you get to know the candidates, then you will have the opportunity to perhaps have your opinion known later on. If you have a complaint in your neighborhood, you can bring it up to a person that you have familiarized yourself with at an event like this. So it is a great pleasure for me to be here and to take part in this. I see that many of you are already passing in the index cards. I would like to remind you that these are city council candidates. They're not running for national elective office, so if you want to ask them questions about potholes and sidewalks and streets and traffic flow and infrastructure, that's okay. If you want to ask them about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and the national debt, that's not okay. So keep that in mind when you're writing down your questions, to ask them things that they can answer, that they will have an influence on if they are elected. And I would also like to once again point out to the candidates, our friend Beth Schatzberg. Beth is very good at what she does. She is friendly but firm. And so that's an important process, so that when Beth says you're done, you're done. So that everybody else can have a fair and equal opportunity to answer these questions. And Marlin has developed over the years a very fair way to do it, and hopefully the moderator will be able to keep up with it. We're going to go left to right, that is your left to right, and then right to left as we answer these questions, so that everybody has an opportunity to answer them and not be first every time, or not last every time. We have 3 prepared questions, and then we will move to questions that you have written down on these cards. The committee may combine some of your questions if they are similar. The moderator will do the best that he can to read them. Also, I would like to remind you gently to please silence your phones, to put them on vibrate or silent so that the candidates have an opportunity to respond. Let's go to question number 1, and we're going to start here and move all the way across. Question number 1. South Tampa neighborhoods pay significant property taxes, but most of our neighborhoods receive very little back in the form of capital improvements. If elected, what can you do to help make this situation more equitable?
I'm not sure I alone could do anything. However, I believe that the property taxes that come in, there should be some minimum amount that every neighborhood receives. So if you live in, pick someplace, Ballast Point, then your neighborhood pays in X number of dollars. A minimum, either 5 or 10% has to be given back to your neighborhood. I understand there are neighborhoods that need a lot more than they pay in, and that extra money could go to take care of those. But I know there are neighborhoods that get virtually nothing back from their property taxes, and I just think that's wrong. I would propose that if I were elected to city council. Whether it would pass or not would be dependent upon my colleagues and the mayor and the legal department, all those other things. Thank you.
First, thank you for having us here today. It's a wonderful pleasure to be back here after 4 years of service as your city councilman. The question about equitable distribution is kind of a straw man argument. We try and distribute the taxes across the city as easily as as best as we can. If we did not do that, places like Hyde Park, which 30 years ago was not very nice to live in, I think many of you probably remember Hyde Park at that time, they would not be as bustling as they are now. When it comes to equity, we always talk about what we're going to do in terms of sidewalks, roads, street repairs, wastewater and water treatment. Our goal is always to make sure that every neighborhood gets the services that they need. We always try to improve as much as we can. It's not an easy system, but we do our best. Thank you very much.
Joseph Citro, candidate for Tampa City Council District 2. Any city's wealth can only be measured by its poorest neighborhoods. Your tax dollars are redistributed to less fortunate neighborhoods that need help. My plan would be to get better employment, better careers, better jobs for the less fortunate neighborhoods which your tax dollars go to, and then they can help their neighborhoods and your tax dollars will come back to you.
Charlie Miranda, candidate for the citywide District 2. Let me say this. All of our funds are distributed on equal basis of need. If I was to say that everything that you give a portion of stays here, that decay where it's happening gets worse and worse and worse. And when you look around you, you yourself will be in a decayed area because you can't go nowhere but your own neighborhood. We have to make sure that every neighborhood is taken care of. The distribution of funds in District 4, 5, 6, and 7 are just about as equal. If you look at this area here, certainly West Shore was done by cooperation with my office in San Herman, which is a county road. The great people that live in this district, Culbreath Heights was done a year and a half ago, and a lot of the streets of this district were paved under Mayor Yolie or Mayor Buckhorn. So we're getting back. In fact, we collect $132 million in revenue of ad valorem taxes, and the police and fire alone takes $227 million to operate. So that's what the problem is.
I am running for a citywide seat, so I've been going to different neighborhoods, talking to different people, and I think our city council and our mayor has done a great job at what they do with equitable distribution. But there's neighborhoods out there like East Tampa that still need sidewalks, that still don't get mosquito control. West Tampa, we still have some issues there. North Tampa, same thing with their infrastructure. And South Tampa, of course, we've been able to open up our pools down the street. But for some of those other neighborhoods, we've really got to take a finer look, I'd suggest, at those. And if I was on city council, that's one thing I would really want to be able to do, is look at everybody in a fair, equal amount, which I think they do, but even more so with some of our other neighborhoods, too.
Hello, I'm I'm Yolie Capin. I represent District 3, which is citywide. I served District 4 for just under a year, which was South Tampa, and I've been in City Council just about 5 years. Yes, the ad valorem, as was mentioned before, that we collect is $137 million. It takes $100 million more for police and fire. That's what we do with the money, keep Tampa safe, most definitely. We are also working on sewers and infrastructure, which is very old in our city. So what you don't see is going on under you. I'm done? Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I saw it go up, okay. So that's a lot of where the tax dollars are going. You've seen a few of the eruptions that have happened throughout the city lately, and it's because we have a very, for the Florida, we're an old city, and our infrastructure underneath the ground is very old. Thank you. Oh, stop.
Candidates, welcome to my world of the floor director and time cues. She is holding up a 30-second warning of 15, I think, and a stop.
Thank you.
You got it. All right.
All right, so thank you very much for having me. I'm just joking. I'm Paul Erni. I'm running for City Council District 3. I think what the question was posed is, you guys down here in South Tampa feel that you've paid the majority of the taxes, and you see a lot of it going to other places. That does happen. But I think Ms. Long touched on something that we should talk about as a capture program, on a sliding scale of a 1 to 10% area, where those funds can stay down in your neighborhood. You can decide what gets spent on here. Those areas of Tampa that have that, might not be as affluent as here, can then do the same in their areas. That way those areas can prosper, and the boat can all be risen with the same tide. Look, we are an old city. We're a great city, though. We have a lot of people moving to this city. I think South Tampa is the area that's like number 6 in the state. People want to come move here. The money has to be spent properly. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Harry Cohen. I am your city councilman for District 4, and I want to thank you very much for hosting all of us tonight. And I also want to thank you for electing me to office 4 years ago. It's been my privilege to represent you. One of the most important functions of City Council is to put our imprint on the mayor's budget and pass it each year. And the spending priorities that are reflected in the budget really reflect two things. First, the overall state of the economy, and second, the needs in the community. During the first 3 years that this council was in office, we were in a recession, which meant we had to tighten our belt and make sure that every possible dime that could be saved or deferred to another day could be. And we did that, and we managed, coming out of the recession, to put ourselves on a very sound footing financially. We've gotten 4 AAA bond ratings recently on some of our enterprise funds and also on our general fund, and it's something that really affects how much money is available to spend. We've spent $18.7 million in this year's budget for neighborhoods. That's twice what it was 4 years ago.
Thank you.
Hey, Ken King here. The reality is this. This is a very long-term problem, looking backward and looking forward. We have a very strong mayoral government structure, which every 8 years we have a new mayor comes in, they have different vision, different priorities, and that's where the money goes. And there's lots of good things that come from those, but the net result is every 8, 16, 24, 32 years later, here we are with problems throughout the city and neighborhoods that are not getting addressed. I would put together an infrastructure task force, because it is beyond unacceptable. There are parts of town that are crumbling. There are parts of town that are very well-to-do parts of town that don't have sidewalks, don't have street lighting. It's unacceptable. A minimum percentage would require a charter, a change in the charter, which is a big deal. I like the idea. It's participatory budgeting, but it's a tough sell. Bottom line is there's always money. It's a matter of the priority of who's in charge. That's what matters.
Thank you. My name is Tommy Castellano. I'm a candidate for City Council District 6. Basically, we need a lot of, walking the neighborhoods, you see different neighborhoods that have different needs. some of the needs are immediate. And then we need to take that into consideration when they come to city council and ask for some of those problems to be met. So I think that we should take it on a priority basis. We need a playground in Wellswood that needs to be taken care of. We need to take care of that. If we have a program then on a playground on North Boulevard that we have plenty of money for, we need to take a little bit of that and put it in some of the areas that are needed. I think we need balance. We need to balance our budget a little bit better and put some money where it's needed. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is Guido Maniscalco. I'm a candidate here for Tampa City Council District 6. For the last several years, I have served as president of the McFarland Park Neighborhood Association. And why is that important? It is because our neighborhoods are the building blocks of this community. Having said that, our tax dollars should be reinvested in our infrastructure, meaning our road improvements, our sidewalks, our lighting, bicycle lanes, drainage, things that we need, things that affect us daily as neighbors and as citizens and as taxpayers. And that's where the money should go. Reinvest in our neighborhoods, reinvest in our infrastructure. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Jackie Toledo and I live here in South Tampa. I live in Beach Park and I was very involved in the Beach Park Homeowners Association board. And what I would like to do is focus on our infrastructure. I'm a civil engineer and I do transportation engineering for a living. And regardless of where you live in our city, infrastructure, whether it's flooding or traffic, is a problem. And I'm sure that as South Tampa people or West Tampa, you travel all around your cities. So we need to make sure that that money is spent on infrastructure improvements. I want to make sure that we prioritize on roads that are older and stop putting Band-Aids on problems. Like for example, we have 8 water main breaks a day. We need to just fix the problem so we're not wasting money on these Band-Aids. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you, candidates. I have 2 more questions that are prepared, and then we'll move to your questions. But just like a reporter, I move right to the candidate questions. I neglected one very important thing, and Marlin is extremely organized in this, and he had it all written down for me. I just glossed over it. We'd like to get to know you a little bit better. And so it would be appropriate to have your 2-minute opening statement now that we've done the first question. So I'm going to start here with Susan again and move from this direction down to that direction. If you would please just say your name. Most of you did, but please just say your name again and the seat that you're running for. We'll just move the microphone down here because that's the way Marlin had it. Plan was to go from this direction to that direction. And then I will pick up with his plan the way he has it so eloquently drawn up.
I'm Susan Long. I'm running for City Council District 1, which is citywide. I've been a neighborhood activist. I live in Seminole Heights. I've been president of the Old Seminole Heights Neighborhood Association, which is, if not the largest, at least one of the largest neighborhood associations in the city and maybe even the county. I have also been on the code board. I've been chair of the Public Nuisance Abatement Board. I'm currently on the Variance Review Board. I've worked with code enforcement to try and get it to be more effective. I worked with Gloria Miranda and some of the other people in the city to get form-based zoning in our neighborhood, which they are now doing in spots of East Tampa and other areas in the city. We were the neighborhood that started it. I was one of the people that got it going. I've always been involved with the city as long as I've been here, and I know the problems. Don't have a ready fix for every one of them, but I would like to work on them. I live in a neighborhood where people call me up and say, I have a problem, who do I talk to? Or I have a problem, do you know how I could solve it? And that's what I do. That's why I want to be on city council. I want to do it for everybody, not just the people in the central part of Tampa. Although I do get calls from Dana Shores and New Tampa and other places as well, because they see me at city council and they call and say, can you help me? I have this problem. Sometimes I can help, but if I can't help, and I know I can't help, I don't promise them anything. I tell them up front, I can't do anything about that. You're going to have to figure it out. But if I can help, I'll tell them that, and they always hear back from me in just a matter of a couple of days. I'm working on it. I got it handled. I ran into a roadblock, whatever's going on. I would like to do that for you and everybody else in the city. Thank you. Susan Long, District 1, citywide.
Thank you. I'm Mike Suarez. I'm your District 1 councilman. When I looked at all these baskets, I was wondering, I want to make sure everyone knows they are not going to hand out Powerball sheets to fill out, okay? I just want to make sure you know that. It's a pleasure to be here again. We were here 4 years ago in the church, in the sanctuary, and thank you very much for electing me city council 4 years ago. I have been adamant about some of the things that we've done here in the city concerning neighborhoods. In fact, when I was outside in the ante-room, a couple of the neighbors from Hampton Terrace came up to me and thanked me for some of the improvements that we did along the road that had a lot of speeding. That makes me feel good, because it means that those little things that we do improves the neighborhood, improves the quality of life for each one of the people that are in that neighborhood, and in addition, creates an atmosphere for our city to grow. I know there's a lot of talk about downtown and about what Jeff Vinnick is doing, but let me just tell you this. Jeff Vinnick's project, anything else we do in the downtown area, will never be a success unless we have strong neighborhoods. Now, last night we were at Forest Hills, and the night before we were at Wellswood. Neighborhoods that have strong associations make for better neighborhoods, because they are the voice to us on city council, the voice to the mayor. You have to remember this, because we can't do it alone. We can't go out and say that we're going to solve each and every problem without your help. Some people don't want to help us solve problems. But I know for one thing that I am a problem solver. I am here to help. And if you don't believe me, check out some of the neighbors that are in this room that have come up to me tonight to thank me for what I've done. My name again is Mike Suarez. I'm your city councilman in District 1. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to be here to speak with you all this evening. My name is Joseph Citro, and I am your candidate for Tampa City Council District 2. I have 14 years of experience, Variance Review Board, Code Enforcement Board, Civil Service Board. I have been making decisions for 14 years, important decisions that have affected you. I believe home ownership makes a solid bond for neighborhoods. I like living in South Tampa. I work in West Tampa, and my heart is in Ybor City. I am an at-large city councilman. Like Mr. Patterson here, I want to get back to the questions, because I want to hear what you have to ask us. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
I'm Charlie Miranda. I'm the current city council member of District 6. I've served before in District 1 and other districts. Let me say this, I'm honored to have had the opportunity to serve each and every one of you. It's a job that I like. In fact, I would seek it again. It's a job that gives me the strength and gives me the ambition to keep giving the service that you so deserve. I'm the only candidate who can say that Mayor Greco, Mayor Aureo, and Mayor Buckhorn appointed to one authority, Tampa Bay Water. And I've been the only city representative other than Aureo for a couple of years to have served that. I can also tell you that I spearheaded the insurance clinic for the city of Tampa. What does that mean? That means that rising insurance costs were so high that under my spearheading with Dr. Popello, who we met with then Mayor Aureo, started the drive to make clinics available to city employees. And we have 2 clinics now where the city employees go, current and retired city employees. And the savings is over $1 million a year to the city because we did that. And I'm sure political fact will be checked out by our medias here, and they can say that who's telling the truth and who's not. Well, I'm here again. I want to serve you again. I can tell you that the panhandling ordinance, as you well know, I had 2 very serious operations, which was due not to a disease, but to the fracturing of the muscle called the diaphragm. I thought I was 25 years old when I was a little older, but I didn't realize I was old. I could still play ball. Well, the muscle didn't hold, and I had to have that surgery, and during that surgery we had a complication, and 9 months later I had another major surgery of the left lung because it was damaged during the surgery. However, I came out of bed to make that trip to City Hall. I thought it was going to be a close vote, and panhandling was solved. I walked in the door, and I thought a ghost walked in.
Good evening, Julie Jenkins. I'm running for District 2, citywide seat. I'm going to talk in 2 minutes some of my skills and experience to hopefully be your next city councilwoman. My interest in government started when I went to work after college with Congressman Buddy McKay on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. At that time, you had to do your homework, you had to listen, and you had to get a consensus, sort of what we're still working on today. My professional background has always been in corporate travel and tourism. I've been a national account manager for Virgin Atlantic Airways, AirTran, and many hotels. I've been selling the city of Tampa to the country for over 20 plus years. I've been involved with the airport, Convention and Visitors Bureau. Now, in reference to neighborhoods, I've been very active in my neighborhoods. There's an area outside of Hyde Park that's called Career City. Back in the 90s, my husband and I formed a crime watch, and at that time there was no Soho, there was no nice post-village apartments or restaurants, and there was drugs and prostitution. We started pooch patrols as our security. We cleaned up our alleys. We brought our neighborhoods together. We brought all our neighbors together. I also founded a group of kids, minority kids, where I said, I'm going to make them invest in their neighborhoods, clean it up, and hopefully become a good citizen for the citizens of Tampa as they grew older. The community, very active, as some of you know, in the community. I've been involved in my kids' PTAs from elementary to high school as an officer. I've been involved in many environmental cleanups. I've also raised over $100,000 with a lot of help from the community for our local public elementary school. And at the present time, I'm working as the Director of Development at St. Peter Claver School, an inner city school, 120 years old. I'm a leader, I get things done, I'm responsive to the neighborhoods, community, and business. Mary Mulhern, who holds the seat right now, has endorsed me, and 2 former city council members, Linda Salsena and Gwen Miller. And I hope you'll take a look at not just my information, but all of our information to make a good decision for your next city council person. Thank you.
I'm Yolie Capin. I've been on city council just under 5 years. As I said before, I was appointed to District 4, which was this exact area, South Tampa, and now I'm citywide. And I often say the citywide seat is like a big picture window to our city, and I have taken advantage of that. My legislation is geared toward economic development, because economic development leads to quality of life. And the legislations I moved forward are domestic partner registry, the employment-based federal program, the animal fostering, which has helped many animals save their lives and be able to be adopted. And one of the things that's a first for the city of Tampa is the economic impact of cultural assets committee. It is very important to look at the entire city, and I want to be able to bring prosperity to all 4 corners. The way you do that is with economic development and quality of life. And I believe that very wholeheartedly. That is what I've done for the past 4 years, and that's what I will continue to do as a citywide elected official. There are always the infrastructure, the sidewalks, that I am also chair of the traffic, the transportation committee. I have been endorsed by the Tampa Times, the Tampa Tribune, La Gazeta, and they used words like prepared, conscientious, not afraid when they endorsed me. And that's just a few of the endorsements. I thank you for your time.
Well, good evening again. Paul Erni is my name. Running for City Council District 3. Tell you a little bit about myself. First off, I think all of us up here have a sincere dedication and love for our city, or we wouldn't be running. So, and that's where I've taken mine. I'm extremely lucky to be here in Tampa. I was born and raised in Tampa. Both my parents are immigrants. They came to this country, and they knew that to be part of a great city or even a great neighborhood, you had to involve yourself. You had to give back. You had to make a difference. You had to make an impact. So they constantly imbued that upon us, my brothers and sisters, as we grew up. So I kind of took it to the next level, I think. Not meaning to, but I think Charlie's been appointed a few times. I go all the way back to Mayor Buckhorn when he was assistant to Mayor Friedman, being appointed as hearing master for the City of Tampa Code Enforcement Board. I've done that for 20 years now. Over 8,000 cases I've heard for the city free of charge. I have sat as a public nuisance abatement vice chairman and chairman. Times when we had tough cases and we had to take away and impose serious and strict fines on places that were making a negative impact in neighborhoods, and we made a serious impact on these businesses and took away their liquor license. These are things that have to be done. These are the hard things that have to be done. I'm willing and committed to do those for the betterment of our neighborhoods. I've spent 15 years mentoring youth, coaching, baseball, park president, pony youth director. These are the things that will, I believe, keep our kids here in the city and make it a vibrant and dynamic city. So I'm qualified to serve, I'm committed to serve, I'm going to be your next District 3 City Councilman. Thank you.
It really is a wonderful thing to participate in the democratic process and be part of a situation where people can come together and be civil and respectful of one another in discussing the issues that are facing our community. Like I said earlier, my name is Harry Cohen. I represent District 4. And every week at City Council, we really see the city come together and try to sort through some of the thorny issues that confront us. And although I'm running for District 4, I actually think 4 is the most important number in the room tonight. And the reason is because in order to get anything done on City Council, it takes 4 votes. And part of the job is being able to persuade your colleagues to move in the direction that you want to take things for your district, or in the case of the citywide council members, for the different projects that are important for them. When we left off a few minutes ago, I was in the middle of describing some of the financial challenges that the city has faced over the past 4 years. What I didn't get to was that we've also had the opportunity to invest in our neighborhoods and begin the process of really turning this city into the magical gem that we know that it can be. We have done projects like the pool on Davis Island, Bayshore Beautification, Bayshore Boulevard beautification, the improvements to Ballast Point Park, the new fire station in Port Tampa, new traffic lights, canal dredging, paving that has been put off for many years. One of the earlier speakers talked about the number of water mains that have broken this year. We have a lot of stormwater work that needs to be done. And it's all scoped out and it's all known. The question is finding the funds to do the important projects as quickly as we can move through them. And winding back to what the process is, it's getting 4 votes. And I'm stopping again.
Hello. Thanks to Marlin and everyone for putting on the forum, and thank you all for being here. I know District 4 very well. My parents were raised near here. They were actually married at the St. Mary's Episcopal location over off of Beta Bay back in the 50s. And I grew up about 6 blocks down off of San Rafael, went to Del Mabry Elementary 3 blocks over, went to Coleman next door, and Plant High School. I know District 4 very well, and District 4 knows me very well. It's simple, folks. Do you think your city council representative's #1 priority should be working for you, the citizens, neighborhoods, and businesses of District 4? Because I do. As an incumbent, Mr. Cohen is expected to run on his record. So let's take a quick look at his record around town and see whether he has really been working for you. Harbor Island, he voted for 340 apartments with no new parking, and now the residents are suing the city and city council. Davis Island, he forced the complete streets design onto Cleveland and Platte, which is, it's taking them down from 3 lanes to 2 lanes, and it's choking Davis Island even more, the ingress and egress of Davis Islands. Hyde Park has provided no leadership to provide for a functional and attractive destination in Soho, and has approved zoning and variances that have resulted in a mess down there. Palma Ceia Pines approved the zoning for the patio, creating an absolute train wreck in that neighborhood. Virginia Park voted to change the zoning at Santiago and Del Mabry from residential to retail against the neighborhood's wishes. Sunset Park and Bel Mar Shores, don't even get me started about stormwater and canals there. Bottom line, there are many more. I don't call all of that working for you. Bottom line, pick up my literature outside and read it carefully. It explains exactly what you can expect from me as your city council representative, or give me a call and I'll be happy to discuss it with you. I will work for you. I appreciate your time and I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
I'm Tommy Castellano. I'm a lifelong resident of District 6 in Tampa. I'm a Navy combat veteran. I'm married to Carol Jean Kakamo for 46 years. We have 2 daughters, Nicole and Alicia, and I have 8 beautiful grandchildren. I founded Castellano Air Conditioning in 1975. I've employed hundreds of people, which have contributed to the economy, the economic growth of the city of Tampa, and I continue to do that today. I have paid millions of dollars in salaries, workers' compensation, payroll taxes, property taxes, unemployment taxes, Social Security taxes. I pay city, county, and state licensing fees. I pay workers' compensation, and I pay any kind of insurance that you can think of. I've already paid it. Basically, I know what it's like to be in business today. I've been accused by the media of being too focused on District 6. But if I'm not focused on District 6, who's going to be? I have to represent, my main priority is the people, the voters of District 6. I love my city, but my main priority is District 6. So basically, if you want to representation, I want to be your voice. Let me be your voice for District 6 City Council. Thank you.
My name, once again, is Guido Maniscalco, and as I've already mentioned, I've served as president of the McFarland Park Neighborhood Association, but more importantly, the current city council appointed me 3 years ago to serve on the Code Enforcement Board, which I have been for the last 3 years. I'm also a member of the Human Rights Council in Hillsborough County, as well as many other civic and community organizations. Although I thank you for having me here, and I look forward to hearing your questions, what I have come here for is to share with you my vision for District 6. And that is a vision of reinvesting in our infrastructure, in our neighborhoods, in our roads, in our sidewalks, improving the bicycle lanes, improving the lighting. I want to be a voice that represents the neighborhoods down at City Hall, and I want to work for you. I also want to see the permitting process made more efficient and sped up so we can be more enticing to people that look to Tampa to relocate and open new business. We want to be business friendly. We want people to come here so we can grow. But I think the most important issue in everything that Tampa deals with and all the successes and the missing puzzle piece to our success today and years down the road is transportation. And I want to use this position on City Council to be a very vocal advocate for improving the transportation here in Hillsborough County. That means improving our road quality, improving the efficiency of our bus service, and down the road looking at other options, which would be rail or rubber wheel trolleys and whatnot, which that would come in terms of a referendum. We don't have the money to do it now to solve our transportation issues. We need to look for a new artery to finance these projects for the future. We need to look at investments for our children and for our grandchildren. And that's how we will be the successful city, and we will be that shining gem down here in Florida and be enticing to new residents, new businesses, and new people down here in the region. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being amongst friends and clients and neighbors. Thank you so much again. And thank you guys for coming and caring about local politics. It's very important. As you know, you've seen the school board races, how important that is to vote. So thank you guys. My name is Jackie Toledo, and I'm running for Tampa City Council District 6. I'm a civil engineer. I do transportation engineering for a living. I also own a small business, Tampa Creative Camps, which is a performing arts studio for children, and we teach self-confidence through the arts. I'm also a proud mother of 5. I actually have 3 kids that come to school here, so I'm sure they're going to love seeing pictures of me on the stage that they perform in, I'm sure. And I have one at Plain High School and one at Suarez. I've lived in Tampa for 25 years. I love Tampa, and I'm concerned and really want to make Tampa a better place to live, not just for my children, but of all your children. I've been very involved in our community. I've been on the Beach Park Homeowners Association board for many years. I've also been on the Mayor's Hispanic Advisory Council, the USF Latino Advisory Council, the Junior League of Tampa, and I advocate on behalf of children and families. And now I want to serve you in a different capacity by using my expertise as a transportation engineer to solve our infrastructure problems. My opponents talk about transportation. I'm the transportation engineer. I know how to get it done. So I will work on our flooding problems and our traffic problems, because that's really what affects every single one of us. And if we don't do it, if we don't act now, it will be upon our children to make those investments, and I will not let it happen. I also want to work on community preservation. It is our communities, our neighborhoods like yours, that we need to protect and preserve. And I want to make sure that our city is a business-friendly environment, that we can attract large corporations, a Fortune 500 company, and I'm done. Thank you.
Jackie, hold on to the mic because I'm going to start with you on the question. You know, I have an interesting job, so let me kind of deliver this next question. These questions were written out by Marlin and his group. I find the next question interesting. From my perspective, as the guy who has been out in the hurricane, in the yellow slicker, and seen what happens when trees fall on top of power lines and major transmission lines are knocked over, I think people have hurricane amnesia. I can tell you that there will be another hurricane that hits Florida. I just don't know when. We've had them, we will have them. So the next question perhaps alludes to that a little. And we're going to, again, start with you, Jackie, and work our way down. And then we've got one more question for the group, and then we'll have individual questions for each district race. The question is, how do you stand on the subject of passing an ordinance to make it easier to have underground power lines in South Tampa?
To make it easier to have underground power lines in
South Tampa.
In South Tampa. Well, we definitely need them because, as you mentioned, with hurricanes being a threat to our local environment, that would be definitely something that we can save our homes. And it could be dangerous if you're driving a car or walking on the streets. You know, one of those power lines may fall, so I would definitely be in favor of having underground power lines.
When you have underground power lines, it makes for a much cleaner look throughout our city. You know, you get rid of everything that's hanging above. It's also, as has been mentioned in this question, a safety issue should strong winds, a hurricane, you know, weather can cause a lot of damage. We have to see where we can put these power lines underground, where the water level is at, where it's the safest and whatnot. But you have to remember, when you have power lines underground, if something does happen, then you have to go in and dig, and it's a lot more work to get those problems solved should anything happen underneath. So I would be in favor of it where possible. And it's not going to be all over Tampa. You know, there are higher points and there's lower points. Certainly it would look nicer, but in regards to maintenance, you know, once you have something buried underground, it's going to be harder to get to. It's going to be a lot more work than when you have it overhanging. So there are pros and cons, and that's what we have to address and see where it would fit best and how it would work best for us.
Many of the new houses being built today in South Tampa the power lines are running underground. We do have to be careful about it on the south side over here because you're only 5 feet above sea level. So you have to make sure that the power lines can be put underground. So again, we have to have an examination or have to be referred to by our engineering department whether it can be done or not. But it's more inland, yeah, they're being done right now. So I'm in favor of looking at the underground power lines.
Absolutely, 100%. Power is part of the infrastructure mix, and it'd be nice to get some other infrastructure up to speed and modernized as well. But absolutely, why not? To me, it's a no-brainer.
First of all, I believe the county recently passed an ordinance that allows a street to actually take a vote on whether or not they want to underground their power lines, and it requires, I think, an 80% approval in order to do it. The big question is who's going to pay for it. There's a lot of people that want their power lines underground, and it's an excellent solution in certain neighborhoods. But again, the question is, where is the money going to come from, and what other projects are going to have to be scrapped in order to pay for it? I'm certainly open to it in some places, but it definitely requires neighborhood concurrence.
I proposed this to the Times during my interview with their editorial board, and Mr. Ruth kind of laughed and said, "Oh, that's just impossible." Well, I don't think it's impossible. It's actually 67% that needs to come to a consensus. And if you look at the county's ordinance, it is a cluster. It's a disaster. You have to pay fees. It's about 42 different cells on a tree. We could get this down to about 10 line items. We're constantly trying to make things more difficult so you guys cannot get what you want to get done. It's been done down at Channelside. That's pretty close to South Tampa, isn't it? We can be done down there. Secondly, I got 30 seconds left, so let me bring this in. They're spending $16 million renovating City Hall. I work down there free every month. Maybe we don't put $16 million down into City Hall, maybe $8 million. Let's get a feasibility study. Let's get it going. Let's stop wasting time doing things that don't need to be done and doing things that you guys want done.
I would be in favor of moving power lines underground where it is feasible, where it is possible. Again, it needs to be paid for, and like everything else, it's like just like in your home. You decide to purchase something, something else does not get purchased. That's very simple. That's exactly how it works in government. Thank you.
I too agree with underground power lines, but it's a plus and a minus. One is the money, as we know. One is the area of South Tampa, which I think would be an issue because, as Tommy said, the water level. But it's something that we should look into. It's like everything else. Tampa's changing. You know, the future, we're turning a page. So there's different things that have to be looked at, and once again, I hate to say it, but a study definitely would have to be done if we proceeded forward with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. But to answer a question like that, as broad as that, without having any financial and physical figures in front of you, is not my style of government. I would never, ever tell me, "Charlie, why don't you do this for your own house," when I don't have a cost estimate. No one said it, just a blank question. Throw it out. Paint the house green. But I don't live there. It makes no difference. Paint it green. You're going to have, I'm a physical conservative. I don't feel that question, first of all, when you start talking like that and answering those types of questions, what happens to West Tampa? What happens to East Tampa? Are they left behind? What happens to Seminole Heights? What happens to Drew Park? We're going to forget about them? If you're going to do one, you got to do them all. It's all for one and all inclusive for everybody.
The big question here is if. I would be in favor of it if we had the money. And if we're going to do it, let's start in neighborhoods that still have open drainage ditches. And if we do it, let's do 3 jobs at once. Let's bury the power lines, catch the stormwater runoff, and build sidewalks over those open drainage ditches. Let's be smart, Tampa. If we're going to do one job, let's try doing 3 at a time. If we're going to do this, Tampa, let's do it right.
I'm not going to add much more to what some of my colleagues have mentioned, which is the cost in all this. As you know, you don't pay the city of Tampa for electricity. You pay TECO. TECO is going to want to get paid to do something, and it's not going to be free. I would love to see all the lines buried, but the cost would be astronomical. Even if you wanted to have it in your neighborhood based on that ordinance that the county passed, you still have to figure out how you're going to pay for it. Nothing is free in life, as you all know, And even something as good as buried power lines is not free. I agree with my colleague, Mr. Miranda, that we would have to look and see what that cost would be, because I think that if many of you saw it on your bill as an assessment, your hair might turn as white as mine is. Thank you.
I'm all for undergrounding every single line, electrical line in the whole city. I think that's a wonderful idea. However, as has been mentioned, 11 other times, 10 other times, what's it going to cost? It turns out that there's a city in the Northwest, and I forgot which one, I forget whether it's Portland or one of those cities, decided, their electric company decided they would underground everything. And they had this budget, and it was huge, billions of dollars to do it. They started doing it, and they discovered that the actual cost was insignificant compared to what they had expected. They put it in just like Verizon did Fios, you know, shift a line and down, done. They had a bigger line, they had to have it protected, but it was basically the same process. They thought they were going to be tearing up driveways and sidewalks. They didn't do anything. The biggest single expense they had was disposing of the telephone poles that they had left over. They didn't know what to do with them. They were all over the place. That was their biggest single expense. I think if we, as a city as a whole, got together, and Chico would agree to it, which is unlikely, but if they would, and we put together a budget as to what it would really cost, not what we think it's going to cost or what Chico says it's going to cost, but really gather the data, it may be possible that we could start that process.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all right. You hold on to that, because I have another question for you, and we're going to start down here, and we'll go down that way. And some of you have alluded to this in some of your answers, but this question gets to the heart of the issue. Flooding remains a major issue in South Tampa. What ideas would you have to alleviate the problem?
One of the issues that I have in my neighborhood, which also floods, is the street sweeper comes by, shoves all the leaves and debris down the drainage ditch, the water comes, and it overflows up over the curbs and takes my trash barrel 6 blocks down to the river. So I'm down at the river fishing my big blue box out of the river to bring it back home. Your issues are different. I've driven down Henderson and Del Mabry when the water was up above the bottom of my door in my car, wondering if I was going to get my daughter down for her horseback riding lessons or not. What we need to do is we need better drainage system. We need to pay attention to it. Some of the drainage systems we have here are tens and tens of years old, and they need to be improved. They need to be enlarged. We need to set it up so that the water flows in the direction that we can handle it, not just where it lands. I think it just requires a lot more infrastructure and planning on the part of the city, and it's expensive. Thank you.
Thank you. Flooding in South Tampa will not be solved. I'm going to be one of the first people to tell you the truth. Here's the problem we have. I don't know if you've ever tried to fight Mother Nature, but gravity is the one thing that you cannot solve. If you go south of Gandy Boulevard, and they have some open canals down there, there is a point between the two peninsulas, between the the two bays, excuse me, that it is not going to go one way or the other way. It's not going to go either direction. You cannot engineer a problem that has no gravity going in your direction. The Romans knew it. We know it. Okay. Now here's the problem. We've been doing a lot of flood control over the years, and it's solved a little bit of it. It's going to take more time and yes, more money, because we are an old city, and it is going to be a while before we get a handle on all this. Thank you.
I've been living in South Tampa since 1981, and I can't tell you how many friends I had to pull out of flooded streets. I can't tell you how many businesses along Del Mabry and Henderson, Del Mabry and San Miguel, that every time it floods and a car goes by, their business gets water in it. It's not an easy solution. Mayor Palma Ceia had a plan 4 years ago that was going to alleviate some of this problem. But again, we don't have the money for it. I asked a young man over here, Kyle, I don't mean to embarrass you, Kyle, what he wanted to see the city of Tampa do. He wanted to see better roads, better crosswalks, and try and capture some of this 50 million gallons of water that we have during a 1-inch rainfall. It's not going to be easy. It can't be done. It's going to take some time.
Thank you very much. As it was said before, if we could fix it, it'd have been done. It doesn't snow here, but there's water all around us. And guess what happens when there's high tide and it's raining? The water can't drain back into the bay because the water's high, the pipes are right there, and as it goes in, it comes back in. That's what happens all around our good neighbors in Bayshore Boulevard area. That's what happens where I live. That's what happens where you live. Have we improved it? Yes, we have. This year alone, we spent more money on neighborhood improvements, investing in neighborhoods. In 2007, we spent $6.2 million. This year, we spent $18.6 million. However, it's got to get better, and this administration and this council has taken the right steps to continue to invest in neighborhood improvements, because without neighborhoods, you don't have a city. You are what we are. This is your city, it's our city. And we're trying very diligently to solve a problem. We passed the drainage tax some years back.
It's just the matter of the beast. Living in Florida, we're going to have the issues that we have with flooding. But we do need the money. I like the fact that the administration is taking steps to work on the flooding issue, the pipes, the infrastructure. One of the issues that we have is, that's on the books, all these lawn guys that do lawn work, a lot of times they're blowing down the drain. That's not acceptable, and it's really not allowed by the city. So one thing we can do on that is sort of with code enforcement. If someone sees someone doing that, that's a big problem right there. But we do need the money. I like the fact that we're continuing to work on the infrastructure, and we need to continue to work on the infrastructure to get to that point. I don't think it'll ever get to where we'll have no flooding, because it's the nature of the beast where we live, but we have to continue with the infrastructure and building and improving.
Thank you. Are you familiar with Venice? We're not quite there, but we are very low land here. The one thing that I did see, and I will tell you, that we did pass in City Council, we haven't done this. I was in Santa Barbara, California, and I took photos of it. They have these screens that go along their stormwater openings, which keep the leaves and the rest of the trash. It is the most simple solution I have ever seen. And that we can do. And as long as we keep the debris out of our pipes, we probably will relieve a lot of this flooding. Thank you.
Difficult question, a lot of difficult answers, if there is an answer. We live in a subtropical state, we get a lot of rain now in the winter. You know, you can add to that. You can go down to Edison, go down to Willow. You got constant drainage from when they paved over the creek down there. You added that a few years ago. They made a joke about it where when Bayshore was flooded and somebody superimposed a shark swimming along Bayshore. You know, it's funny, but it's not. We can't have everything, and that's been reiterated many times. I would like to say one thing, though. Let's stop playing checkers, play chess. 3 steps ahead. If you want to look at a possibility of vault systems, you know, a couple years ago, one of the presidents of the neighborhood association here in South Tampa proposed a vault system down possibly near Plant High School, even under the Plant High School football field. Oh my goodness, we cannot do that. We can't tear up that football field. 2 years later, they tore up the football field. Maybe put 2 and 2 together and we get 4.
Well, my colleagues have certainly mentioned the issues of gravity, and if it weren't for the gravity of the peninsula, clearly the problem would be easier to solve. One of the things that has been a frustration for this council has been that in our first 3 years, our hands were really tied by the property tax revenues being low in the face of the recession. And a lot of the work that Mayor Iorio had planned to do in stormwater amelioration had to be put off. And we've started to catch up with it, but again, it's been a matter of taking the time. What have we done? We put in a new pump station. We have put in now some new culverts. We have done $2 million worth of canal dredging. But one thing that is very difficult for us is that because our tree ordinance is very strict, we cannot disturb these large trees that have root systems that go right into the streets and sidewalks. And as a result, we can't solve the problems with the flooding without solving the problems with the trees.
This is a 20, 40, 100-year commitment. You know, we talk about, well, we didn't have any money the last 3 or 4 years. Again, there's money every year. It's being spent. I've sat in 4 budget hearings for the last 4 years. Each year I've sat in the budget hearings. And when it's a matter of prioritization. It's a matter of long-term commitment and planning. An infrastructure task force would list all of the major needs and map out what they are, when they can be done, what the cost is, and make the commitment to do it, not just for this year, next year, but for 20 years and 40 years. Because look back 20 years and 40 years ago and 100 years ago, and here we are. You know, we consider, well, we don't have the money this year. Well, guess what? It takes a long time to do it. And by the way, the gravity thing, just buy a pump.
Again, that's been going on for over 100 years. The problem is that we're only 5 feet above sea level, and like I said, there's no gravity. One thing that would help is dredging the canals over on the west side. That's what's going to help. That's not only a city issue, it's a state and it's a county issue. We need help from our representatives, and we need to contact them too. At the worst case scenario, let's solve it once and for all. Let's call the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and see what they think about it. But we need to do something to stop this flooding, because I used to push cars out of the street when I was 10 years old for 50 cents a car. Now it's $3 a car.
Flooding is certainly one of the biggest issues down here in South Tampa. But we only have so much money. And I asked the mayor one time, I said, how can we solve this issue? And he said, we don't have a budget big enough. It's a $1 billion project. But what we can do is chip away at the problem little by little. As the economy gets better, you know, Tampa's budget is balanced. You know, we are out of this recession. We've survived this. And, you know, we're getting a little bit more money every year. So what we can do is we can chip away at the problem. Pump stations, dredge the canals, little by little. You're not going to solve it overnight. It might be a 20, 30, 40-year project. But if you start somewhere, little by little, every year it gets better and better, and then finally, maybe 10 years, 5 years, 20 years from now, we won't be talking about this so much because we will have the solutions. I remember when my father had his store right here on Neptune and Del Mabry, and it would rain. I'd have to park 2-3 blocks away, leave my car and walk down there just to get there because it was flooded. It's horrible. It's miserable to the businesses. It's miserable for the neighbors, but
Flooding, it's one of the biggest issues that we face, and I talk about it all the time. Part of the problem is that our pipes are 50 years old, and we keep growing. You know, so that's going to be an issue that we're dealing with. It is unacceptable that we can't even accommodate a 15-minute storm. How many of you have been at Publix, walked in Publix, and by the time you get out, it's flooded? You need a submarine to get home. That is a problem that we need to address. And that problem is on the Neptune Del Mabry. We need to add another box culvert and take it down to West Shore, and also provide inlets. And then we need to stop repaving over the inlets that we have. Every single time that we repave the road, they're just repaving over our inlets, and that needs to stop. And with the combination of the stormwater and traffic team, I think that's going to help address those issues. But it's not just one solution. As an engineer, that is what I am trained to do, is come up with solutions. We're not going to change the gravity. We're not going to change elevations. We just come up with a different solution.
Thank you. All right, now I've got questions from you. And I wanted, if you could pass the microphone down to this end, my end of the District 6, because this first question will be for our District 6 candidates, and then I will move forward as we progress. Each district will have, yeah, okay, the candidate on this side of District 6, and then we'll go from right to left. And then we will move forward to District 4, District 3, and so on. Each district will have 2 questions. The first question deals with wet zoning. What is your opinion of the current wet zoning ordinance with the capability of administrative approval? And what are your thoughts on the number of waivers, parking, proximity to residential areas, etc., that are being granted for alcohol and other wet zoning issues? You have 1 minute for each response.
That's not really a very hard question, because if you have a wet zoning in a residential neighborhood, they have 50 feet, they can only be within 50 feet. If they don't have the parking spaces allowed, they shouldn't be allowed. Wet zoning is a very difficult situation because it's interfering. They promise no loud music, and then there's loud music. You have a lot of noise. You have a lot of people just drinking too much and they can't drive home. You have the streets are, there's no parking on the street, but there's not parking in the building, but they're parking on the street in front of the neighborhood. So it's a very difficult situation, but we need to be more critical, and we shouldn't allow much wet zoning that is in our neighborhoods that are encroaching on our neighbors' rights.
When I hear this question, the first thing that comes to mind is Palma Ceia Pines and the patio. Big issue right there. And I've spoken with the president of the association. Of course, parking waivers. You have so many parking spaces and so many people can fit in the building. It's loud music, it's trivia, it's college football games, and it's no respect to the neighborhoods. That place does not belong there. Unfortunately, it is, and there's the mistake. There's no respect to the people there, to the streets, to the parking, to the noise. People that live there, people that are there every day that want to come home from work, have a dinner, go to bed, be comfortable in their house, and they can because of a mistake that was made on city council. I've seen what happened on Howard Avenue. It's been out of control. I remember 25 years ago when it was nothing like that, and now we have a major issue there. We have an issue once again with the patio over in McDill. We can't have that. You know, we need to respect the neighborhoods. Neighborhoods come first. You come first, because you live there every day and you're going to deal with it. So the right answer is respect the neighborhoods before we make these decisions and allow these businesses to open up.
I'm very sensitive to the wet zoning issue because I have children, so I want to make sure that our safety of our children are first and foremost. And the thing with parking waivers, we need to have the city keep a track of all the parking waivers that we get, because if we're just looking at an individual parcel and saying, we'll grant you 2 waivers, and then the next parcel next to it is 10 waivers, and the parcel, we're going to have a parking problem. And that's what we need to get a hold of and determine how are we going to solve the problems and be more proactive instead of reactive to the issues at hand.
This next question is going to be for our District 4 candidates, and again, we are going to begin on the right side and this side and move our way down. It's a little confusing right, left because of where we are, but we're going to move on this side and move our way down. And first off, I want to thank the candidates, you all being extremely respectful of time and keeping an eye on Beth, and I appreciate that. Everybody in the audience appreciates that. Secondly, I want to compliment the audience because you all have written some very thought-provoking and very good questions. The question for District 4 race is, some candidates support the single-family character of South Tampa. Others believe we must encourage more diversity by building affordable multi-unit housing. What are your views?
Well, that's an excellent question, because I think that one of the 2 or 3 most difficult and contentious issues that come up in front of council on a regular basis are lot splits and our PDs in plan developments in residential neighborhoods. We have been, as a council, I think very hard to predict on these questions, because we generally take them on a case-by-case basis, and we make them with direct input from the neighborhoods that are affected. We listen to the testimony carefully. We hear what everyone has to say about the character of the neighborhood, And we do a very detailed analysis. It's given to us by the staff, but we use that analysis of what the current makeup of the neighborhood is to make these types of decisions. In the past couple of months, there have been probably 10 cases that have come in front of us that sort of bring these issues into sharp focus. And every one of them has been decided in a fact-specific manner. We take into account what exists on the ground, and we go from there.
South Tampa is a peninsula. There's water on 3 sides. There's nowhere else to grow. And it's been here for a long time. And the unique character of our neighborhoods that make this city what it is slowly chipping away. And I feel strongly, very strongly about maintaining and staying within the code that's established. Now the code itself needs some work, but I strongly believe in maintaining those neighborhoods as they are coded and minimizing the multifamily development. Our infrastructure can't handle it. Our roads can't handle it. It's enough's enough. Thank you.
We're going to do District 3 now. And again, these questions for me are great. For one thing, I live not too far from Howard Avenue, so I get the parking exemption problem, and I get the alcohol problem because these are the things my neighbors talk about. This is another one that people that I live here talk about. The noise ordinance. How will you encourage enforcement of the current noise ordinance, and what will you do to improve it?
Well, you know, we do send code enforcement out with meters to enforce that. We need to keep doing that. We need to have them do that even more. We have an issue where I live in Seminole Heights. Same issues that you have down in Howard, where we have restaurants that play bands, and they just impinge and infringe upon the lifestyle and the freedoms that you have in your neighborhoods. Where we're at with this is, if we have a law that says you can get to a certain decibel level, then that's where it's at. And you know what? If we're going to have to go ahead and hire a couple of code enforcement inspectors to go out and do that, then we're going to have to do. We're going to have to find in the budget, and that's what we're going to have to do. Simple as that.
If you have followed me in City Council, I do not vote for anything that has outdoor amplification, period. It is not acceptable. Acoustical is fine, guitars, pianos, but amplified music in neighborhoods is not acceptable. I do not vote for it, and that is my climate. That is exactly what I do. As far as and I've done that consistently. As far as the alcoholic beverage permitting, it was one of the questions that was asked earlier administratively. I was one of the council members at the end of the last council, because I served on the previous council, that did not vote to move that forward. That's just where I stand on this. Again, no outdoor amplification at all.
All right, let's see. Did everybody in that race have a chance to answer that question? Okay, very good, thank you all. And thank you for helping keep me straight. The next question, question 4, is for our District 2 candidates. Again, we're going to start on this end and work our way down to that end. And obviously this question comes from an involved person. Council meets just once weekly, and citizens must accommodate that one day. The one weekly meeting is often broken up, and delays ensure from various breaks taken that this often results in the matter being postponed or meetings running very late. I know as council members you all can appreciate that. As councilperson, what might you do to try to reduce these inconveniences to citizens? Thanks.
The City Council is here to serve you, the citizens. We should stay as long as it takes to hear your voices. I've often said we should have at least 2 meetings a week and accommodate an evening meeting for all you working mothers or mothers that take care of children and take care of homes. All you fathers that take care of children and have to work. We need to accommodate you. I would want to move to 2 days a week and have 1 day, all-day meeting with an evening meeting to accommodate you.
Let me say that through technology, you have the internet, you got cell phones, you got hummingbirds that come give you messages, and council members, yes, we meet 1 day a week, but we also meet at night on different zoning matters. So we actually meet more than 1 day a week if you average it out for the month. I can attest to saying that I believe it works the way it is. I'm not opposed to change, but it's something that when you look at it, everyone gets a shot. People always complain to me as chairman, well, how come I only got 3 minutes? Well, the petition only got 15, and there's 15 of you in line, so if I multiply 3 times 15, you got 45, then the petitioner tells me, how come I didn't get 45 minutes? So you're caught in a vice. But different things have been said before. The legal department has advised us regarding different zoning matters and noise ordinance right now because it's a challenge in court for us city council members not to discuss them during council meetings. And I agree with what's been said, and I'm asked to stop.
City Council is a part-time position. We know they meet once a week, Thursdays, and they also meet once at night. It's something that I'm not opposed to, as what Joe said, if we have to extend to another day, your people should be able to call in and say, you know, if there's a problem, you know, we're there to help. But I would not be opposed to extended hours if my colleagues and everybody agreed with that, due to the fact that I'm there for your voice, so I have no problem with that. But hopefully, if you're not answered, you can call up or you can deal with your city council person.
All right, thank you. Question 5, again, we're going to start on my end and work our way that way, is for District 1. The roads and infrastructure in South Tampa are being stressed by more intense development. How can we continue to grow and deal with the traffic congestion, the lack of parking, the loss of green space, and urban forest?
I think this issue is one that's taking place throughout Tampa, some areas more so than others. We have no way to get around Tampa unless you get in your car and you do it. There is a bus that comes sometimes, some places, unreliably. We need some other form of transportation where you can get around. We can't continue building more and more and more and more roads. There isn't enough square footage in this town to build the roads that make everybody move easily. We could become a cement city, and we'd have to elevate the houses to get enough roads. We need another form of transportation so that we can get around this city. Most of us really don't want to get on a bus and ride it back and forth to work every day or to the grocery store. But we need some forms of transportation other than just our car. You may not leave the streets, but somebody else will. I find that in my neighborhood, if we had some way for me to get to the airport without driving, I'd take it in a heartbeat. If it didn't cost me $40 each way. Thank you.
Thank you. Here are some of the problems when it comes to traffic congestion and transit. I'm the chair of HART system, which is our bus system. Here, what we have here is a problem with you getting out of your cars and getting on the buses. Let's say we had a bus that ran every 10 minutes from along Kennedy, from West Shore all the way to downtown. How many people are going to take it? Hopefully everyone. Chances are that's not going to happen. We're not going to build more roads, so we're going to need to get more buses in order to get 10 minutes. What does that mean? That means more money out of your pocket. Now that's up to you. The county right now is talking about whether or not we're going to have a referendum in order for us to increase and get a more robust transit system. If you're in favor of that, I suggest that you call your county commissioners and make them put it on a referendum. And if you support that referendum, vote for it. Because that is the only way we're going to solve the traffic congestion issues that we have in South Tampa and around the rest of the city. So I encourage you, please be involved. Hillsborough is now looking and doing public meetings. Go find it, it's online, and go and be a participant. Thank you.
Now we're going to go to District 1, and this time we're going to start from that end and work our way this way. This is for District 1. Why does the city change the watering schedule? How can we conserve water year-round?
Okay, now there's two different questions in there. Why does the city change the schedule, and how can you conserve water? Well, a couple of things. I know that my colleague, Mr. Miranda, did the smart thing, which is he doesn't water his lawn. And I took his advice, and I don't water my lawn either. So if you want a lush and green and beautiful lawn, please don't take any advice from me. One of the things that we have when it comes to water and water conservation is, and this is something that was mentioned to me once before, the amount of water that we have is equal to, we still have what they said was Leonardo's tears still exists in our system. It is replenished, but it doesn't go away. We can't make more water. It's still here. So it's up to you to conserve your water. It's up to you to make a decision as to how much you water, when you water. I would suggest that you would probably try to do it once every week, regardless of what the schedule says. And make sure that when you do it, do low impact watering, because I think that helps immensely. Thank you.
I don't water my lawn either. When my water bill came in at $150 because I watered one month, I decided I would turn them off, and they've been off for 3 years. But one of the issues is that we have more water in some times of the year. We get more rain sometimes of the year than we do in other times of the year. We have more usage in some times of the year than the other times of the year. People are busier watering their lawns when we don't have rain. If we don't have rain, everybody turns their sprinklers on, the water gets utilized. We need to be conscious of the amount of water that we use and when we use it. We need to pay attention to how much we use, how often we water our lawns. It's just a part of living these days. I have one low flow and one not so low flow potty in my house, and I can't tell the difference except on rare occasions. Why don't we all have low flow toilets? You can put, if you don't want to go out and spend the money for a new toilet, put a brick in the back of it. That helps. I mean, there are things we can do that really don't impact our lives. We need to pay attention.
Thank you. The next question is for District 2. Yeah. Come this way. No, I'm sorry. This way, going that way. Okay. I get mixed up on the left-right because there's stage left and stage right, so I'm going. Thank you, Charlie. There you go. Okay, exactly. All right. District 2. I guess we're starting with Joe. So, how do you proceed dealing with the issue of, number one, rapid transit, and two, the need for sidewalks and safe bike lanes?
Thank you for that question. How many women here have 2 or more children that go to different schools, that have different after-school activities, and still have to go home and cook and clean? How many women, just hold up your hand real quick, how many women here have, or have had 2 or more children? Council members, Councilman Suarez, these are the people that you need on your transportation board. They know how to run an efficient transit system to get their kids to and from school and to their, these are the people that you need on your transportation board. Thank you, ladies. Let's get our bus system working at its peak efficiency, and then look to light rail. I feel the light rail should be Hillsborough County's solution to the problem. Bring the people in from Hillsborough County and let the bus systems take over from there. We have a wonderful, wonderful program here in the city of Tampa working with Hillsborough County called Green Artery. Green Artery is going to be, I believe, a 23-mile loop, which is going to be like the Pine Knolls Trail. Thank you, where you can walk and ride. Look at Green Artery.
Let me just say this, without transportation, I can't build more roads. You don't want any more roads. Everybody needs more roads. And without transportation, you know, I voted for the streetcar. When I was a young boy, I remember we had over 50 miles of streetcar in the city of Tampa. People don't realize that. They were gone, they were taken out in the 50s by General Motors and the buses. That's a fact. We need to start somewhere. We need a circulatory of a streetcar to get people involved again. You see, there's a romance, is this, called keys. Your freedom. You've got the right to leave, come whenever you want. And if the counties don't want to do it, the city of Tampa and St. Pete must start something, even if it's a small straight line, so that people understand that it works. Is it going to pay for itself? No, neither do roads, because you keep expanding, you keep paying, and you keep paying. And that's how it is. But before my time's up, I got 6 granddaughters here in this district, 2 daughters and 2 son-in-laws. One of my daughters, Danette, is here. And I'm sorry, I had to insult you.
Thank you.
In reference to rapid transit, one of my issues is transportation. Of course, we've got to take care of our bus system first, get people to where they've got to go, and in a timely manner. The trolleys, we need to work on due to the fact that I think that will help when our economic development continues to kick in. Rapid transit is so important. In 5 to 10 years, if we do not do something now, we're going to be sitting on these major highways. So it's something we definitely need to work on and look to. So instead of talking about it, start working on it. The bike paths, Sharrows, as some of you may have seen, are the arrows in the road. We've got them in South Tampa over on Euclid. We've got them over on Davis Island. It's something that we need to do for all parts of the city since we are inclusive, because there are a lot of people who do ride their bikes in West Tampa and East Tampa and North Tampa. So Coast Bikes is doing the rental now, and we have more bikes that you can rent downtown. We need more bike paths too.
Question 8 is for District 3. The trains at night in South Tampa are very loud and can be very disruptive. What can be done to lessen this disturbance in the middle of the night when busy professionals need to sleep?
The mayor tried to address this and has. CSX is one of the railroads. The way they run is run by state. They absolutely run the way they do. We have, as a city, very little control, if any, over what they do. We have tried. We brought. I do believe the mayor brought up downtown, where it runs right through the middle of downtown, and people are. I lived on off of Euclid and El Prado, and I would hear the trains at night. I still hear them, and I live off of North B. I understand that, but again, it is CSX. That is tied to federal, the tracks, and we can work with them. We have tried. As a matter of fact, the trolley, the streetcar, our insurance on the streetcar is over $400,000 because our streetcar crosses CSX rails, and they demand it, and it costs that much every year. I hope that helps a little bit. Thanks.
Well, that's kind of like the 800-pound gorilla in the room. It's one of those questions that you're posed to, and if you give the wrong answer, you get a lot of boos or catcalls. But I tell you what, sometimes you got to say the things that are tough, and you can't, shy away from them. It's like if you live near the airport, you're going to hear jet noise. Unfortunately, when you look at the safety issues that are required by federal regulations, they go through downtown, they're going to blow that horn at every crossing. Folks, I don't know what to tell you on that one. That's something we have to get with CSX. There's an issue. I think Ms. Capin did say that the mayor is looking into it and he's working on it. And I know he is. We've read it in the paper plenty of times. This is an issue that just can't be answered in 1 minute. I'm sorry if I don't give you the answer you want to hear, but that's what you're going to get from me, is honesty.
I'm District 4.
Okay, District 4. Okay.
I'll be happy to answer the train
Thank you
question.
very much. I will point out that there is a website devoted to the train issue. People are opposed to the noise. They've dealt with it in other cities in Lakeland. It is a cost issue because we looked into it too. District 4, what is your position regarding the overbuilding of South McDill and other streets when the current infrastructure is overstressed?
Well, I think we've heard from everyone tonight that there is a recognition that our roads can only tolerate so much traffic, and that we are bursting at the seams. And this is to a great degree because people are desperate to live down here. They want to live down here. People want to live in neighborhoods where they can reach their jobs without getting on an expressway and sitting in traffic. And that's why the apartments that are being built are 98% occupied right now, because people really want to be in this region. It is our responsibility when we make land use and zoning decisions to make sure that within the law, and the law gives us the parameters of what we can consider, but within those parameters, it is our responsibility to make sure that the neighborhoods can handle what is taking place. And right now, we clearly are in a massive growth period, and it's a good thing for the city, but it creates stresses, and it's something that we're going to have to continue to work on and pay attention to keep our quality of life good.
I believe there's too many variances, including Mr. Cohen's votes, that are overloading our neighborhoods in South Tampa with these multi-family developments. You know, sometimes you just have to say no. Again, it's a peninsula, there's no more room. And even though they want to live here, you know what? Sorry, sometimes not everybody can live everywhere they want. And again, you just have to say no sometimes.
District 6, what is your position regarding preservation of our historic buildings while encouraging development and business development?
I believe that you have to take that on an individual basis. Every individual who owns the building has to have some right to say what he wants to do with it. If they want to make it historical, they should make it historical, but we shouldn't be telling property owners to tear it down. But we need to get back to the issue of overbuilding over here on McDill. If you take a look at what's going on in Group Park right now, they built the roads first. Now they can allow property to be built around it. So we have the infrastructure right there. We don't do that anywhere else in the city. Right now, we're building right up to the property lines. West Shore Boulevard, you can't increase the road. It's going to get worse with the development of Gandy down the road here, and they're going to be coming down West Shore Boulevard. But if we don't do something and prevent that from happening, we need to build the roads first before we allow property being built right on the property line.
What I see in West Tampa, we have a lot of historic cigar factories. Some have been developed, have been taken into office spaces and other businesses, and some sit vacant. There's a beautiful one on Howard Avenue just south of 275, and I've always thought to myself, how can we preserve this history that's so important to Tampa and use that and make use of it today? You would take that cigar factory and convert it into lofts. Now you protect the existing structure, but you're making it, modernizing it on the inside and allow for new folks to come in, new residents into Tampa. We see that with a lot of buildings. Down here near downtown, you have the Oxford Exchange, which was taken and sat empty for so many years. And look at what what a nice place it's become. Reused as a restaurant and bookstore and whatnot. So you're respecting the past, but looking towards the future. So you're maintaining that balance, and that's what I like. That's been done, and that's what I'd like to see done even more.
Tampa is historic. We have to preserve it, and I love historic preservation. Look at Yolie, how that has revitalized that area. Look at the courthouse, the Le Meridian. That's an amazing use of historic preservation. And I think we need to look at all cigar factories. Look amongst Armenia. There's a couple different buildings there that could be nice office buildings. the Argosy University has changed. So I definitely think historic preservation is great for the economic development of our city.
Great. Jackie, hold on for the mic because we're going to add one additional question for you all. So we're going to start with you, Jackie, and work our way down here to Susan. I was wondering if this question was going to make it in. Many citizens are concerned with conflicts of interest. Will you pledge to recuse yourself from decisions that present a potential conflict of interest, including issues brought by major contributors or your personal colleagues?
Absolutely, I pledge to make sure that if there's a conflict of interest, and anybody that's ever given me money or contributed to my campaign, I tell them, look, I can only promise you that I will listen to you and listen to the other side. As an engineer, that's what I'm do. I'm a problem solver, and I look at the big picture. I want to make sure that every decision that I make is good for not just the district, but for our city and the long-term effects of our city. So I will recuse myself if there's conflict.
Absolutely, I would make that pledge. When anybody gives me any kind of support, put a yard sign in front of their house, or a financial contribution to my campaign, I always answer the same way. Thank you for believing in me. There are no promises. What I'm here to do is serve the community and do what is right. And as it's been said earlier this evening, it's okay to say, no, I'm here to serve the community, I'm here to serve the people of Tampa, and do it the right way. Therefore, I certainly would make that pledge. Thank you.
I would make that pledge also. I believe that anybody that gives you money for a donation or whatever shouldn't expect anything. They're doing it to get you elected, but you're sitting there to do what's right for the people of District 6. You're doing it for the people of the city of Tampa, and I love my city. Yes, I'll make that pledge.
Absolutely, and I have a feeling this might be in reference to an article in the paper the other day in regards to myself and Paul Erni being in the alcohol industry. And the reality is I've reviewed the Florida Constitution, Florida statutes, Florida Code of Ethics, and had some objective review of it as well. And there's virtually nothing stating that myself and or Paul would have to recuse ourselves. But I will say that I think that each case standalone would have to be analyzed by myself, possibly the city council staff, attorney, and you make that decision. And last thing we want is any issues with conflict of interest on any vote.
First of all, the law prescribes what you are allowed to recuse yourself from and what you are not. And just because someone gives you a campaign contribution, you're not allowed to recuse yourself. You have to vote. And the courageous thing is to vote your conscience and not be influenced by it. But you're not allowed to recuse yourself just because you're friends with someone. You're only allowed to recuse yourself if you have a relative that has an interest, or you yourself have a financial interest in the outcome of the matter. And all of us, when we are in that situation, because it happens in the city of Tampa, you have friends, you have relatives, they own property that's right near what you're discussing, you do what the law says. The one thing I want to say about my opponent and the whole alcohol issue is that alcohol is just not about the votes, it's about the discussion. You have to be able to be present for the discussion. The neighbors, the other council members, and the applicants all go through a discussion of what the conditions are going to be that underlie any alcohol approval. And if you're not there for the discussion, you can't represent the neighborhood.
I think Harry took my answer and pretty much said what I wanted to culminate and elucidate to you. Look, every council member has to recuse themselves at one time or another. My opponent has, Mr. Cohen has. It happens. I've done it on code enforcement board where I've had to recuse myself because I knew somebody that was coming up. You have to do it on a case-by-case basis. What you have to look at is what is it impacting the neighborhood. And I can tell you this was a two-part question. And some of the earlier candidates talked about it, the funding that they get and the one. I can tell you this, 90% of the funds in my campaign account have come from my pocket. I have depleted my savings I am beholden to no one but you, and you alone. And I will be your voice down there, and I will be down there for your best interest, and no one else's.
In reference to recusing, I have recused myself once in 5 years. Once. Now, I will be able to vote on every alcoholic beverage permit that comes before us. It was referenced that the Florida statute was looked at. The Tampa Code of Ethics was put together by the mayor and HR. It is a lot stricter than the Florida Code of Ethics. I will let you know that now. So there is an issue here, and it needs to be seriously considered. The insinuation that if you have contributions, you're not beholding. I have said in council before when audience came up and said, well, you know, you all talk to influential people and I said, you know, everybody in my city, as far as I'm concerned, is influential in my office. Thank you.
The easy answer for me is yes, I have no problem recusing myself if it came up. I have a very large grassroots support system. I wish I had more money coming in on that, $1,000. But I have a lot of people who do donate anywhere from 10 up to that. So I have no problem with that, and I'm beholden to no one except the people, as Yolie says, and that's the reason I run.
With your support and support of many others throughout the city of Tampa, it's been a pleasure to serve you for 21 years. In those 25 years, I've cast tens of thousands of votes. And I think I've recused myself one time on one issue that came before me multiple times. And if it comes again, I'll recuse myself on that same issue. And that was because my son was the attorney representing the neighborhood against a developer. So I had to recuse myself. Thank you very much.
I am past president of my Ybor City Rotary Club. We have a four-way test that we begin every meeting, and it goes as follows. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? That's how I will treat every case that I hear as a city council person. In the three boards that I have been with, Civil Service Board, Code Enforcement Board, and now the Variance Review Board, if I have any doubt in my mind, I've always turned to my counsel. I've asked the petitioner if they feel comfortable with me making a decision, a fair and just decision. I've asked the city attorney if they feel comfortable. If I have to be recused, I will step down.
Thank you. When it comes to this particular issue, Mr. Cohen said it succinctly. We have an ethics code that we have to follow, that the city has, which is stronger than the state's ethics code. In addition, we cannot recuse ourselves on zoning issues unless we have some kind of financial interest or if we have a relative. Now, the question really goes to how are those campaign contributors going to affect your votes on zoning issues? I will tell you what. You can look at all my votes and all the people that have given me money, and you will see that sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. We have to look at it on a case-by-case basis. And I will tell you that zoning is the toughest thing that any of us do here, and any of these members that may be city councilmen will ever do. Because you cannot recuse yourself, and you have to be fair, you have to be open, and you have to follow the law and the facts. So when it comes to ethics, I have not had any conflicts yet, and I hope that I won't have any in the future. Thank you.
I've been on Variance Review Board and for 2.5 years, and I've never recused myself. It has never been a question. The one time that I even brought it up, because somebody else had brought up the fact that they had an interest, well, not even an interest, had knowledge of the case outside of what came from the BRB. The attorney said, you cannot recuse yourself unless it's a relative or financial. Do you have any financial interest in this? And the guy said, no. And he said, then you can't recuse yourself. It's very basic. I have one relative that lives in town. It's a son. His interest in going before city council or VRB is about 0. And I don't have any major corporations that are giving me thousands of dollars to buy my vote. So for me, it wouldn't be an issue. But if it ever did become, I have no problems recusing myself if that's appropriate.
Thank you, candidates. I'm going to ask that you all pass the mic all the way down to Jackie, because the way we had our opening statement after our first question. We're going to start down there. We're going to have our closing statement, and we will allow each of you 1 minute to wrap this up. Thank you.
A lot of issues were brought up tonight: drainage, transportation, code enforcement. Wouldn't it be nice to have an engineer on city council to help solve some of those problems? We need that. We need someone that's a problem solver, someone that looks at the big picture, and that is me. I'm also a business owner, so I know the challenges that business face, and I want to make sure that our small businesses grow and that we pave the way for them, not get in the way. And as a mother of 5, I know how to build consensus. And I promise I will work hard for you and make sure that we all get along to make Tampa a better place to live. Thank you so much. Please vote for me on March the 3rd. Thank you.
I sincerely wish to thank each and every one of you for coming tonight, because it's events like this that are important. And it's important when we come together as a community and as neighborhoods and bring these questions up and discuss these ideas, because it allows us to get the feedback, do the homework, and take that back to City Hall to find the solutions. This is how we learn, is through communication. As you see me now campaigning, coming to these forums and going to these neighborhood associations, is how I will continue to serve as a member of the City Council, which is keep that open line of communication, know who your representative is, bring me your problems, and let's find solutions together. Let's work together. There's been a lot of excitement in our campaign this last week. We were proud to receive the endorsement of the Tampa Bay Times, and like I said, the newspaper. That means a lot to us. But what is most important is that we are ready to serve. I'm ready to serve you as your City Council representative in finding the solutions, to solve our traffic issues, to take care of our roads, infrastructure, and neighborhoods, and make Tampa a better place to live. Thank you.
1/2 the 3rd floor of City Hall are traffic engineers. The other one, we have still flat flooding and we still have traffic problems. The only thing that matters right now is that the endorsements don't matter. What matters is you. You are the people that we're going to represent. You are the ones that we have to represent, and you're the only endorsement that I need. So basically, on March 3rd, vote for Tommy Castellano, your voice in City Council. Thank you.
Again, it's simple, folks. Do you think your city council representatives' #1 priority should be working for you, the citizens, neighborhoods, and small businesses of District 4? If you agree, then you'll vote for me. I'm honored and pleased to be here. I appreciate you coming, and please, again, pick up the literature out front, read it closely. Feel free to call me. I'll be happy to discuss any topic with you at all. I appreciate your time, and I'm asking for your vote for City Council District 4. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and again, thank you all so much for coming tonight. You know, it is always really a pleasure to get to hear what's on everyone's mind, and I've been very lucky because I get to do that every week. And what I hear is that Tampa is a place that is changing. It's growing, and we have to learn how to cope with the fact that growth doesn't always occur without growing pains. Our roads are antiquated, our flooding problems have proved challenging, but we have as a group put our fiscal needs ahead of everything else so that we could get through the recession, have a good credit rating, and be ready to tackle these problems from a position of strength. In the next 4 years, if you send me back to City Hall, I promise to be your voice to prioritize within our means what we can spend our money on to get the greatest return for our investment. And I promise to continue to fight for you every single day. Thank you very much.
I think we've all talked about how positive it is to see the group that always shows up, and these last 6 months going to meeting after meeting after meeting, the culmination here tonight in South Tampa, with the 15 or so associates who come. This is what makes a great city even greater. Your interaction, you telling us what we need to know, what we need to hear, so that we can go down and when we make a decision, it's a decision that's based on what you have told us, your input. I'm honored. It's as simple as that. I live at 6001 North Idlewild, North 9th Street on Idlewild. Come to my house when I'm elected if you have a problem. My phone number's on my car. It's as simple. I tell everybody that I knock on their door. And I don't do it glibly, and I don't do it to be silly. I mean it. I am your servant. As simple as that. Thank you, and I hope you consider me part.
As I said before, I've served for 5 years, just short of 5 years. It is important that you're here. It matters because you care about your leadership in your city. I can name the endorsements, the Times, the Tribune, like I said, the fire, the police. But the most important endorsement is yours. Each and every one has one vote, and that is what counts. That is all that counts. I have said, everyone in the city, it has influence in my office. And as far as the address of the home, that's public record. So you look it up and you can make... It's public record. I thank you for your time. I appreciate being here, and I appreciate you coming out to see us. And remember, the screens on the the opening to the stormwater keeps the debris out. Very simple. I'll be working on that. Thank you.
Julie Jenkins, running for Citywide District 2. I want to thank you for being here, because if it wasn't for you, we all couldn't be here. And as we all know, we're here for you, and that's the reason I run. Anybody here who does know me has known I've been very responsive to the community, to neighborhoods, and business. I want to continue to do that. I haven't just lived and worked in South Tampa, but I've worked in East Tampa, Central Tampa. I deal with charities up in North Tampa, and that's the reason I've considered this run for citywide seat. I want to take my voice, your opinions, and change the future of Tampa by turning the page to the next chapter. There's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of thoughts out there, and it's time to look at that, bring positive energy, and deal with the needs of the people. So I hope you remember me, March 3rd, or you can vote early, vote often. We're not in Chicago, that's right. But remember Julie Jenkins, someone who does care for the community, as we all do. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to serve you for 21 years. When the panhandling problem was here, who came through? Charlie Miranda did. He cared. I can tell you that when the streetcar was being built, the only council member up here that I recall that was in office to help build it was here. You look at it. Who cared? Charlie did. When you look at different things that are happening in the city in transportation and water, who was there? Charlie Miranda was there. When you look at different things in the city that needed, what happened in Staten Island? It became Harbor Island. People don't even remember that. Who voted on a 4-3 vote to save Tampa Theater? Charlie Miranda did, along with Charles Spicola, Lee Duncan, Kathy Barger. Those 4 individuals saved the Tampa Theater. I can tell you when it comes to more than things, it's just not about serving. It's about doing something when you serve. It's about being who you are. And I don't pander, I don't ask, but I've cast thousands of votes, and I'm asking you to cast one and consider me. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to be here this evening to answer your questions. Joseph Citro, your candidate for Tampa City Council, District 2. I've served you for 14 years. With these city council people that have put me on several boards, they had their confidence in me, and I'm asking for your confidence to help serve you for more. I think Tampa, it's time that we take the next step. We need the Fortune 500 companies here. We need the major corporations to base their headquarters here, to bring their corporate sponsorships here for our arts, for our entertainment, for our sports teams. But we also need to keep these children that are coming out of our major universities, USF, Tampa University, and now St. Leo College. Keep them here. Give them careers here. I want to bring people here, but what about the people that live here? We need to have vocational jobs that be used in our deep water port that's going unused. I ask you for your vote on March 3rd. I thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you. My name is Mike Suarez. I am your councilman for District 1. Thank you for being here tonight. This is something that many other countries across the world don't get to experience. Local government. Being able to vote for a local representative. When you're a citywide representative, you have to balance the needs of the business community, the development community, with those of the neighborhoods. I think that over my 4 years, I've done that. We've tried to fix some of the problems that we've been able to afford, and with the economy turning, I know that the next 4 years, we're going to have a better outcome of some of those problems being solved. I need your vote, I need your help, I need your support. Vote for me March 3rd, and I hope that we can continue along this avenue to solving Tampa's problems and making Tampa great. Thank you.
I'm Susan Long, running for City Council District 1. I have lived in Tampa for 32 years, longer than at least one of my colleagues up here is old. I know Tampa. I have worked with Tampa. I have worked with various neighborhoods, New Tampa, Wellswood, obviously Seminole Heights because I lived there. I've worked with some of the neighborhoods down here. I've worked way down in south of Gandy. I would like to work with everybody in the city. That's what I do. Unlike most of my colleagues, I'm semi-retired. How would you like to have a full-time city councilman that charges the same amount as the part-time city councilman? That's me. I would be there. I don't have a full-time job. I did that for many years, but I don't anymore. I would be willing to work for you 5 days a week, not 2, not 3, not 1. Please vote for me, Susan Long, District 1.
All right, thank you to all of the candidates, and thank you to you. Before I bring Marlin up, I just want to take 1 minute to say this. I just had the opportunity to go down and visit Cuba, and I know after talking to a lot of people down there, they would love to have the opportunity to participate in a process like this as long as it was fair, open, and honest. So I applaud you all for being here. I think it was Charlie who said that he had hummingbirds deliver him messages during city council meetings. We engage you all now slightly differently, and I need to say this to keep my boss happy. I think your questions tonight have been very thought-provoking. You're clearly engaged and involved in your community. You know what's going on. I live here too, but I would appreciate it if you would engage me on social media. WFLA Jeff on Twitter. WFLA Jeff Patterson on Facebook. I would appreciate it if you would ask me questions going forward or put stories on my Facebook page that you think that we should be doing, so that as we go down the road and whoever it is on this panel that is elected to office, I will have the opportunity to take your questions forward to them because you ask good ones. Thank you. And here's Marlin Anderson to wrap things up.
Thank you everybody for attending. I had a head count done earlier about 20 minutes into the forum, and we had 185 people here, which says something for South Tampa. The feedback I've gotten, this is the biggest candidate forum in this election cycle. So we have something to be proud of. I'm so happy that everybody can contributed in all their different ways. And I hope that you all got information that will be useful, that you can take home to your family, friends, and associates. This whole forum will be posted on YouTube as soon as we can get it up there. So you may want to watch it again. I'm going to watch it again because, you know, sometimes there are things that I miss on this thing, and listen to it one more time, you get a better idea of who to vote for. So I strongly encourage that. I'll be sending out a link to that as soon as it actually gets posted up there. Okay, and so I'm looking forward to seeing you all again at the next South Tampa Candidate Forum. And good night, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mike and I have a little side bet going here on how many hits we got on our Facebook page. We both took pictures of you. How many did you get? 2,794. I beat you by one.